Okay. Hey, everybody. It's Kate Richburg. I just took myself off of the mute button. So let me know if you guys can hear me. Give me a thumbs up, okay? Let me come in. And there we all are. Look who's here. Everybody's here. So let me see. Can you hear me okay? Kim, give me a yes, because you can't see me. Okay, good. Everyone can hear us.
Great.
Perfect. So here we are, everybody. Look at that. Look who's here filling orders.
There's a smile underneath this mask.
That's right. That's right.
I came to California to help with orders.
Yeah.
And I came to California because this one, Karen, is going to a new job starting next week. And how long have we been together? 10 years?
10 years.
10 years, yeah. And I just couldn't let the week go without giving her masked hugs and so on. So
so
I wish you a lot of luck.
Thanks, Deanna.
Going to miss all your graphics and beautiful photography. And
they're trying to get me to cry on camera.
Right?
Exactly.
But she's going to leave a big holes to fill. Yes. So she's taking on another web production management job up in San Francisco. So we're super excited for her. So we just wanted to
so where is she going?
Put Karen.
Where is she going?
Put Karen on and say, hey.
Hi, Gina.
Yep, there we go. Yeah. So I am going to take all y'all back into the Facebook room and let's get this party started. All right.
Okay.
So I'm going to, I hope, connect this back. So say goodbye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Bye. I'll miss all of you.
Yeah. Hi, Gita.
And so.
Hi, Tracy, Patty, Lorraine.
Am I connected?
Lori. Hi, Kim.
Yes, and I think I'm back.
Okay.
Can you guys still hear me? I put this on my earpiece. So here I go. Out of the room. Okay. All right, everybody. Can you still hear me okay? I'm going to come in here into the Facebook room and let's get this project on the road. A little bit of a travel here. I know we're going to miss Karen too. We're going to really miss her. So, alrighty, there we are. Whew. We're really she's going to leave big holes to fill, but we've got some plans. So, hopefully we're going to, it'll be hopefully a seamless transition. So, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. So let me take a bracing cup of coffee and see how everyone is. Let me just dab my sweaty underneath mask. I know that was a little maybe too real, but there you go. There it is. Okay. Shall we get this show on the road then? We're doing some really fun earrings today. And let me pull this demo cam in so you guys can see it. And let me highlight that. And then we are going to be working on these guys here. We call them the Oasis earrings. And this is a project done by Kim Golias, who did such a fantastic job with these. Can't hold that thought just real quick, everybody. Or you know what? I'm going to text Karen just real quick. Hang on. Give me 1 second there. When Janice comes, you know, everything is always crazy. So Gita's asking, of course, Gita. Janice looked at me and said, I should link on YouTube, but she's filling instead. So, you know, if you can link on YouTube, that would be awesome. if not, I totally understand this total last minute. And thank you, Tammy. It's good to see you on the other side of this text string. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, well, jaunty with my cravat. And Audrey had a quick comment that said, can we hear about the museum visit to the Calder? Yes, I will save that to the end of the show because I've got a couple of good photographs to show you. I think I'll be able to show those to you. So yeah, Karen is moving on to a new position. We're all very happy for her, but she will leave big holes to fill. But she has run these graphics and made our website beautiful for the last 10 years. So we're very, very grateful for all of her service that she put in here. So, and so we have someone new who is coming on board who you'll meet a little bit more later. So, but we will definitely miss her. So, Kim, thank you for sending these earrings in. We really, really appreciate this fantastic design that you created. And hopefully you'll jump in and text a little bit about this too, or put in your feedback here. What I really love about these pieces, and we've got Tracy from TierraCast in the audience as well, watching. So Tracy, thank you so much for joining us and being here to kind of share in this excitement that we've got going on with these earrings. But this Oasis link, and that's the link that's on the bottom there. That's what really inspired these pieces for Kim. And what she did I don't know when it was, last year, I can't even remember. It was so long ago that we did it, that we looked at it. But Kim, you sent me these earrings as a little gifty gift, which was so nice, and I love them. They live on my desk as part of my earring wardrobe, which is great. And so these guys came in, and we loved them so much that Kim whipped up some more. And then, pandemic hit, and it was crazy. And so these kind of sat in our projects pile, in our projects queue. And then we realized, oh my goodness, this is the perfect earring for summer. So we better get on it. So we're on it. And again, this Oasis link, I just love. It's so good for so many things, for a closure on a bracelet. But I think it's a really inventive way to use these components right here. So we have a page, a project page for them, and it shows all of the various incarnations of Kim's pieces here. We've got this single loop and we've got this double loop. The double loop involves tiles, Checkmates tiles. Okay, and so the Checkmates tiles, I think, are they're just a really kind of, again, something that has a vintage feel to it. These guys here, right? And they're great for the 2-strand earring. So I'm going to show you, we're going to start with this one, because the single strand, you just kind of dial it back, right? So I wanted to show you these guys first. So let me show you. These are the ones that Kim sent me. These have the 5mm check rondelle here. You can see that. And then I think this is the hematite faceted rondelle. So you can use, this is something Dre and I were talking about it earlier today. This is something that you can really choose your own adventure for, right? You can go stash diving, right, with them in your jewelry stash, in your bead stash, or you can create something completely new. And you can use a doubled strand like this, or the single strand, whatever floats your boat, right? All of those things will work. So you kind of, like I say, you do you on this one, and make your preferred design. So on the web page, on the website, on beadshop.com, you will see a list of a whole bunch of stuff. But essentially, let me show you what I'm going to use today. The base of these earrings are the Ceylon. This is the fine Ceylon here. And this is the latte color, but you can choose whatever color you like, whatever color works for you. And then you can either macrame it up like we did here, like Kim did here, right? Or you can use a clamshell like this to connect it, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do the macrame portion of this because I really like the way that this macrame looks. We're going to use the thread burner for that, and I'll talk a little bit about that when we get to it. But essentially, this Oasis Link is kind of the star of the show here, right? Because it comes down at the bottom. Kim used a variety of different, little charms and stuff on the bottom. I'm going to wire wrap this briolette because I want these to be a little opulent, right? So, and I've got the Checkmates tiles. I'm doing these Checkmates tiles. I think this is the jet hematite that I've got. So I'm kind of going for a black and gold and crystal theme. I'm going to use the 3mm crystal fire polish here. I'm going to use some of these Hishi and the bright gold, also from TierraCast, which we love. And then also these little shadows in the black. Okay, so to start out, and in the project map, Kim wrote up a nice how-to. And so this I just copied and pasted right out of the project map that Drea put down at the bottom. So we're going to look over the steps here. So step 1, we gather a variety of beads from 8/0, from 11/0 to 8/0, seed beads and beads up to 6mm beads. And your beads aren't going to be all exactly the same size, so you want to experiment with what will fit into the Oasis finding. So before beginning, find a second set of beads that fits the other components so that your earrings match. Okay, so we're going to look at that, and I'm going to kind of lay these out a little bit because I really am kind of flying by the seat of my pants today because, I'm making this up on the fly. But that's the fun of just creating. So this Checkmates tile is the one that's going to sit in the middle. And so what Kim means there is that whatever bead you choose has to fit, okay, right there in the middle of that component. And you can see on some, like what Kim used here, this 5mm rondelle, she had to add an 11/0 seed bead on both sides, so it took up that width there. Okay, so you just have to find what works, but that Checkmates tile fits just perfectly. Sorry, my camera was a little crooked there. There we go, that looks better. Feels like I was leaning a little bit. Let me slide it up a little bit here. There we go, that's better. So this is my center. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab my, maybe I'll do the outer ring. I don't know. You can type it in, Kim, and let us know on this double strand or the doubled over. Did you start with the outside ring or the inner ring? I don't think it matters that much because you'll just size the one to the other. But I do want to start by getting this Oasis link in, and the Oasis is only connected there to the bottom. So I'm going to get my fine seal on, and I'm going to find the center. Now, what I can also do for ease of stringing here is I've got my little ends. You could use needles on these, but I'm just going to get my little ends And I'm going to put some zap glue needles on the end. Okay, and that always is super helpful and makes things kind of speedy. There we go. I take off the whole top for this. And then I'm going to put these little legs right in the middle of that glue and get the glue on my thread. And then I'm going to pull my threads one at a time so the glue kind of squeegees out. Okay, like this. Okay, and I'm going to set them aside for just a second. Okay, and this one, my mom jumped on and she was saying she loves the Checkmates tile with that Oasis bracelet. Look how when I put the two in there, how that just makes a really beautiful and opulent component on this, right? It's just gorgeous. So you could wire it, right, or something, so it dangles this way. Adding that briolette there so it looks super deluxe, and then adding your ear wire at the top. That's like that's a beauty right there. I like it a lot, right? Yeah, just up my mom's alley for sure, this opulent piece. And you could make this tile any color, right, that you wanted. You could also, kids, if you wanted this piece at the top, I could just make a hoop. I'll just use these because they're strung, right? I could string these guys like this, so it's just a hoop, right? If that makes sense, right? Like that. That would also be really pretty, really opulent. Maybe make it a little shorter. And then you could string that citrine drop in the center, right? That would be pretty too, right? So, but let me continue on the journey that Kim set us on. So now my Ceylon is nice and stiff with those zap needles. See that there? If I tap on it. I'm going to raise my camera up just a little bit so we've got a little more viewing room here. I am going to come in and I cut this at a right angle. See that there? So it's easy and speedier to bead with it. So I'm going to leave this one here that Kim made as my inspiration. And I'm going to free up some beads. Got a little dish here. A little soy sauce dish. There we go. Let me get this. And what I do for speed, and also so I see that both sides are even, I will put one bead on one side and then I'll repeat it on the other. So I'm stringing both sides at the same time. I'm going to string two of these, one on each side. Then I'm going to add a little bit of a spacer. Now, Kim used the Tierra Daisy spacers in some of these. Some of these she used a size 11 seed bead. I'm going to use this Tierra Hishi that I really love. The quality, we carried the African Hishi beads forever when Beadshop.com was a brick and mortar. It was really a staple. It was one of the first beads I actually ever bought in copper. From one of the African traders who would come through. But the quality of these African Hishi beads are so delicious that I love them. They're a real staple in my designing. So now I'm gonna, was that your very first spacer, Tracy saying? That was their very first spacer. It's such an old school piece too, to use in your designs. Old school in a good way, right? So here you can see that this has kind of come together. So it looks like Kim didn't add, and you can add this bead anywhere you wanted to. Here, she added 3. You could probably even add 5. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add my second thread, or at least I'm going to prep it, because not only am I designing up the earring this way, I'm also designing across the earring this way as well, right? Because you want to see how the beads look next to each other, side by side. And Tracy's saying, and this is great, I'm going to show your comment, Tracy, Tracy Proctor from TierraCast, where thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast to give us a little behind the scenes. But she was saying in that he-she bead, and you can see on the bead itself that he-she, the way that those are made is they're made with little flat pieces of wire, and they're wound by hand, right? So keeping that little seam on the he-she bead gives it that original flavor of the first, you know, the he-she, the traditional he-she beads, how they look. So that's really great to know that that was, you know, a really well thought out. I'll get it a little closer there, and you can see that seam. You can see one right there, and it's closed. The he-she isn't going to fall off of your piece, but I just love them. They're one of my favorite beads of all time. So but I say that to all the beads, right? So let me come in here, get my thread. Try not to glue my fingers together, and I don't want to glue this thread together. I'm kind of making a mess of this, so bear with me here just a second. Let me get this on the inside, and then I'll use that paper bag like this. And then Kim just dropped a comment that I want to share with all of you guys too about when you choose the beads. So here's this, and I'm going to pull that through. Okay, and we're going to let those dry for a second. Let's look at Kim's comment here, right here. Kim is saying it's all about finding the natural curve formed by your combination of beads. Okay, so the natural curve of the hoop might vary a little bit depending, like look at this one that's here. This one hangs a little differently because Kim's using the rondelle there at the bottom, right? On the either side of that Oasis link. So it really does, I don't think there's any right or wrong answer here to this, right? And Debbie's saying if you're having trouble with your video coming in and out or whatever, make sure that you are not watching this on data. If you're on a mobile device, that you're hooked up to Wi-Fi, sometimes that's better. Sometimes also, if you just click your way out of the video and click your way back in, it's a little bit easier. And especially, I see, Debbie, you're watching on Facebook. So sometimes that can be a little bit glitchy. So I'm sorry about that. But you're always available to watch this on replay on all of our many different platforms, and I'll throw those up before the end of the broadcast. Okay, so what I want to do here is I want the tiara spacer that I put on not to butt up against the other tiara spacer. Does that make sense right there? So I'm going to put on, I've done 2 crystals here. I'm going to put, see, and I also need to take up this space that's here. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 clear crystals on both of these, and I'm going to see how this looks. Okay. Kim Crawford is saying here the Oasis Link also works very well on Softflex wire. You know how we love our Softflex wire here at Beadshop. You've used, Kim has said she's used them in a necklace design as the bail for a focal. Also really great. And it would look just like this, really, right? Because what I'm essentially doing is stringing on a little necklace, making a little necklace that's going to actually turn into an earring, right? Because it's short. So let me get 4 of these crystals. 1, 2, if I can see the whole 3. You guys should see my setup back here, and got cameras and lights and all this business here going on. So we'll do 4 on one side and 4, if I can get in there, 3 and 4. Again, stringing up both sides, so when I bring the beads down, I'll bring all these down so you can see this. When I bring all the beads down, all y'all can see how they sit together. And I think that looks good. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I only did, you know what? I'm looking at this. I only did 3 on this side, so I think 3 is the right one. I don't think I need 4. So I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to put on my my tiara spacer. Okay. And Cindy is giving us a tip here. She said she used Softflex as well, and she covered the crimp with a crimp cover. To even it out, I had an empty crimp cover on the other side. Worked great. Very clever. Exactly. I use empty crimp covers actually a lot. That's especially if I've made a Softflex piece and I'm trying to leave enough play in the necklace, and I might once in a while accidentally leave too much play in the necklace. Just putting on a crimp cover, an empty crimp cover, along the Softflex will take up if there's a long piece of slack in your thread. It's just a little tip that I've used. That's why I love crimp covers so much. All right, I've got it. Now, all of these threads, doing this is kind of like playing with fire, because you don't want to accidentally grab onto or get one of your threads caught and have it come back and up through your beads. So I've got 4 open tails here, which is a little bit of an exciting challenge. So hopefully I won't take anything out. We'll see what happens, but I really want to be mindful of all of these loose ends I have floating around. Okay, so here's this. Let me slide them down. And then I've got this and this. Okay, so see how the daisy, I keep wanting to call these daisies, they're the TierraCast. See how they offset each other a little bit here, like that? Offset, okay? So let's see where we are. I'm going to put this one up next to Kim's. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 2 tiara spacers, TierraCast, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Then I'm going to put on some clear. Then I think I will put on the Checkmates tile. Let's see what we've got. Checkmates tiles, like I said earlier, they're such a vintage bead. Check glass. I was talking with a friend of mine that was on one of my Facebook groups that have nothing to do with beads, and she was posting an earring. It's like a clothing group that I belong to, right? So we can discuss fashion because I like clothes. And she was saying, oh, you know, we were talking about what we did that day or what we were doing. And she was like, oh, I made some earrings. And I was all, earrings, I want to see them. And she's like, I made them. Have you heard of check glass beads? I was like, yeah, I've heard of them. So it was funny. So we chatted some beadwork, which was funny. But I think it's funny outside of the bead world to meet someone who's also a jewelry maker. I don't know. It's kind of funny. It was funny to me anyway. Yeah, I've heard of check glass beads a couple of times. It was funny. So see how this is starting to, I need one more right there to make it even. Okay, so I'm going to take that one more. And beading all 4 of these strands at the same time really makes it easier because you don't have to guesstimate that way. I've got the other strand off camera so I can look at it real quick to get this thread through the beads here. And the thread I'm using, just as a reminder, is Ceylon in fine. Micro too thin, regular too thick. Okay. So now when I pull all these down here, I want to see if everything sits together. Come on. And so that looks pretty good, I think, right? Do I keep saying daisies? I keep saying daisies. It's he, she. For God's sakes, Richburg, get it right. Oh, and you know why? No, there we go. I'm missing, see right here? I was like, this looks funny. I'm missing the 2 little shadows here. Am I? Let me see. That's there, and I'm missing the he, she. Yep, thank you. That's what Patty was telling me to do. Put that he, she in, Richburg. So I did. Teaching and designing all at the same time. What an adventure. So let me get these on. But that's also why doing the same side, doing all 4 at the same time, you can see your mistakes. And you guys can see, I know I need to get that he, she over there too. I will do. These live designs, not for the faint of heart. There we go. And I need, so that one's there. I'm missing a Tierra he, she right there. So let me do that. Okay, now I'll look and compare them one more time. We all make mistakes, but it's such a short little piece that it's easy to string and unstring. So there we are. See that? And you can kind of visually give this a check and see if they all go together. Okay, and that looks right. Okay. Right side, thank you. You guys are telling me. Good. I think this is even, I think. Okay, good. Thank you, Patty. You have my back on that. Hang on, there we are. I'm back. Sorry about that. I think our internet just kind of fell out, so sorry about that here. So Trish said, let me get back to this one. I think we're all good. Sorry about that, everybody, but we're stable again, I think. What Trish said was she was thinking I could add another layer from the bottom by crimping some soft flex from either side. You could. So you could, and also these holes are pretty big. Take a look at the side view right here. Let me lift this up. There's a lot of room. See how I can get the tip of my awl in there. There's a lot of room in there. So you could add even a third strand in there. And the glass bead, the checkmates tile, there's enough room in that hole. Whoops, sorry. Let me get a little tighter in. You can see that hole. See, that hole is also pretty big. So you could do some more strands here, okay? And you could also, yeah, connect them here from that bottom loop. You could connect here and here because there's plenty of room to wire wrap that briolette on, okay? Oh, Trish, I put your comment up there. Sorry about that. Okay. So let me lift this up. Thank you, Donna Chandler. Notice my fancy pants ring. One of these I made using, this is Kingman turquoise and ruby here. Just a little something to be opulent, because Curtis said how opulent this earring looks. I don't know. I like opulent jewelry. I can't help it. I blame it on my mom. Runs in the family. So let's put this to the side. The good thing about this design is once you make one, right, you can make a second one, right? The second one goes a lot faster. This first one has a lot of fussing with it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just repeat this pattern. I'm going to put another hishi and another two little shadows. And I think that should do it. Okay. My mom is saying that she's got carpenters at her house working on the stable, and the stable isn't actually a stable. We're not a horse family, though we kind of lived out in the country, right? Everyone around us had horses, but she has this place in her backyard that's on the back of the house that's all kind of like that redwood stain. It's a beautiful 1950s ranch house that they live in. And so we've always called it, my little niece, she's not that little anymore, she said, Auntie Katie, I've always called that the stable. And I'm like, I've always called it the stable too, because it looks exactly like a stable. Anyway, that's what my mom is saying when someone is there working on the stable. It's not really the stable, though we do like horses in our family. A couple of these. And then I'm going to put just one shadow on either end. And then I'm going to look at it one more time. Okay. Oops, come up here. If you wanted your thread to blend a little bit more, you could use a different color. I used this Ceylon because it's what I had. Let me make sure my matching skills today aren't the best, so I want to make sure that everything is lining up. There we go. Let me get a little tighter here so you can see how that looks. I think we're ready for the checkmates tile. This is jet hematite right here. And this is where you could make these pieces longer or shorter, especially right here in this section, you know, lengthwise. I'll measure this so you can see what this is door to door, like from the top. So it's what we'd call like a duster earring, right? This is about a little under 2 inches, and then with what you've got here, it's about 3 inches here. So what I've got here, yeah, this is close. This is the 2 inches. So we're in good shape. Okay. So let me add that checkmates tile. Maybe I want to define it with a spacer so that the black little shadows and the dark tile don't blend too much. Don't pull your thread out Yeah, there we go. And I want to see, actually, I don't love it. See how the spacers, they're too close. They're not offset at all, so they hit next to each other. It's not right. It's just not right. So I'm going to take those out. And I'm going to say I don't mind the color blend. Let's take a look. Again, don't pull the thread out or, out from the bead holes. So I'm going to put, I'm going to put this Checkmates tile. Oh gosh. There we go. I don't want to pull it out. Now you could also see how I'm pulling this straight here. Let's say that this were a necklace. Everyone's seeing this as a necklace too. You could make this bottom strand a little longer and have these swoopy things going on, right? Just a thought. But we'll get back here to the earring. We'll curve it up and we'll see if we need any more space here. I feel like this is a little crowded. Let me get a little tighter in here. Let me move my camera over this way. There we go. See how these are it's just a little crowded. So what I need to do here is I'm going to add another shadow bead right there. And I'm going to see if that drops it down a little bit. I mean, I could have followed Kim's pattern exactly, and then I wouldn't be screwing around with this so much, but I think you guys are learning something in the design portion of this. And you just have to test it. There's no magic formula, really. You just have to see how it all comes out, right? Let's curve it. Yeah, see? That makes it fit. Just that addition makes this not be crowded. Okay, so let me go ahead and match this side. So on the outside, I had 3, so I'm going to add 1. And then we'll add the checkmate tile. I'm going to pull some of this thread out because I started to dangerously pull it a little too much. The citrines, I don't know, there's something about citrine, especially citrine that's such a saturated color, right? That's so delicious. Let me see, there was a question here. I'm going to scroll back that I missed. Oh, here we go. Curtis said, could you put both threads through one crystal and then the tile? I could, but since the tile has 2 holes, I think it'll sit better. I think it'll sit better if it just goes 1 thread there and 1 thread there. That's my feeling. But I can try it on the other side. Let me see. There we go. Okay, so this goes on. All right, so now let's curve it. And there we go. Yeah, that looks right. That looks right to me. Okay. So now what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to reverse this pattern. I'm going to put 1 shadow, 2 shadows, then crystals, and that's it. Okay. So we're going to kind of intentionally repeat the design. Yeah, my mom is saying citrine is perfect with black and gold. I agree. I don't know. I don't know why I'm feeling so opulent and fancy. Oscar season has passed. I don't know. Awards season is over. I don't know if any of you guys watched the Oscars. There were some beautiful gowns this year, the 2021 Oscars. Not a lot of jewelry, which always concerns me a little bit. I'm all, come on, everybody, let's put on some jewelry. But I don't know. I think I was the only one who liked the Oscar broadcast. It was a scaled down one, for COVID. It was at the Union train station in LA, such a beautiful Art Deco venue. I liked the intimacy of it. I don't know. I liked it, but I read reviews and I think I was the only one who did. I was the only one who liked it. Now, see, when it curves around, we're starting to get a little less of a curve and a little more of a diagonal here. Okay. So, and yes, a Danish Oscar. That's right, Gita. I thought of you when that one won. I was like, yay, Denmark for Gita. Yeah, it was good. So I'm going to actually put 2 here like this. Okay, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. Because again, we're not doing such a pronounced curve. It's going to be more of a diagonal here. So the tension or the direction of the beads has to change just a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I watch the Oscars every year. Every year there's something interesting that happens. Times are evolving and changing, and it was nice to see a more varied group of people nominated and winning, and it was fantastic. I loved it. I also loved my favorite part, though it's not really my favorite part, but it's the in memoriam, where we see who we've lost over the year. And I thought Angela Bassett did a beautiful job with that. But I think Angela Bassett does a beautiful job in whatever she does. So, and she was wearing that red dress. If you haven't looked at the Oscar fashions, do yourself a favor. It'll make you happy. It made me happy. Okay, so see, we're real close. So now I'm going to look at what we've got here because this was super clever, I thought, right? So these 2 are going to come in, these 2 inner strands are going to come in, and see how Kim ran them up, ran these around, and put everything through a big shadow. Okay, like this. So I'm going to have to kind of figure that one out. So I think I want one more shadow on either side of this, I think. Yeah, the Glenn Close portion. Yeah, it was good. And I loved that they had a DJ. I loved that Questlove DJ'd it. Questlove and D-Nice, both of those DJs getting us through the pandemic with music on Instagram. Instagram DJ sets. They're fantastic. Okay, so these are going to come in, and now I'm going to stack. Kim stacked 3, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to stack the center. Okay, because I have to take the outer measurement from this inner stack. I think I need a DJ for my live broadcasts. I've always wanted my own DJ, right? I don't know. I just think it's cool. But Questlove did a great job. Slide this down. Okay, so that tightens everything up. See that? And tightening this. And see how these now, I need to get this going around. So I feel like I need a little bit of sparkle up there, right? Club Quarantine, Paulette, you know it. I'm going to put this right up there. That is right. I will tell you, Club Quarantine, I watched the very first one on Instagram in March. I think it was right when the pandemic hit. He started DJing on Insta, and it was like I was feverishly sewing masks and listening to Club Quarantine, and it gave me life. I'm not kidding. Those guys, I think, single-handedly helped people make it through the pandemic with music. It was so good, so good. What would we do without it? Without music in our lives. So see here, all of this is going to come together. Okay, I'm going to get this a little tighter. So I've got to make this. So see what Kim did here really nicely was she tapered. So I've got a taper. So what I think is happening here is these two, not so much. Okay, so I've got to get rid of those. So I'm going to taper it with 2 shadows on the side, a side of shadows here. And another side over here. I don't know if you guys saw, it was a newsletter a while back. I've made some Spotify playlists and some music to bead by and stuff like that. I'll have Drea relink those in a newsletter sometime. So there we go. See how this is coming together? I feel like I need one more shadow in the middle. So I'm going to put that there. And these 2 go in. Yeah, you could top it with another Tyla, or Checkmate's tile, Trish. You could get it in there. Let me see how this looks. But you could totally do that. I love that. CM saying beading and yoga helped me through the pandemic. Girl, same. Just like one, give me one downward dog. All my cookies. All my cookies down there. Okay, so see that? And then, yes, so Patty, you read my mind right here. So I'm going to put a stack of Hishi. Yeah, Paulette, I'm telling you, so many famous people showed up in the club in Club Quarantine. It felt like so good that you were like listening to music along with like, yep, you're saying Michelle, Sheila E., Chaka Khan. I don't know. Everybody, it was just, I don't know. It felt really good to know that we were like all getting through the pandemic, like one dance track at a time. It felt like, I don't know, really helped me. Still does. He still does his sets over there. It was good. It was such a phenomenon. Okay, so I'm going to put these. Let me get this Patty's comment off, and I'm going to show you this here. So let's take a look at this. We've got these 3. And you can't really see how they look until you take them all the way, right? So I think we took those all the way. That doesn't suck, I'll tell you. It looks pretty good, right? If I do say so myself. Let me put up Kim's comment here. Kim Crawford says, she loves this design for so many reasons, Kim G, but one of them is because it's so user-friendly to most of our stashes. I'll bet many of us could stash dive and really create some rocket earrings using your framework. And that is a true statement. So let's go ahead and look at Kim's directions one more time. And these are all on the project map. I just cut and pasted them onto a piece of paper so I could see it, right? So we've decided, we've done all of our seal-on, we've strung, right? And what Kim did is, it looks like she tied a knot here to tie everything down. I'm just going to use the tension here to see how it works. I probably should tie a knot, but I'm going to go to the step 3 here. Decide on my loop preference, the loop preference being A, macrame, or B, a clamshell end tip, right? I'm going to do some macrame. For the macrame loop, I'm going to pin my earring to a macrame board using the loop of the Oasis Link. Without pulling too tightly, secure the threads for the loop through a slot in your macrame board. Cut a second strand of seal-on and macrame about 1.5 inches to 2 inches over those threads. Add a jump ring before closing the loop. Finish by gluing and trimming your thread burning the ends, or feeding your threads back up through the completed macrame knots. So let me get my board here. If you don't have a macrame board, I don't know what all y'all are waiting for, but let me get mine. So let's switch boards here. And let me turn this around. Thanks, you guys. I'm stacking, this is the wedding bands I made for Chris and I, but my mom gave me a stash of her jewelry, and this, since sapphire is my birthstone, I started stacking that one. I don't know. Again, makes me feel opulent. I have a nice engagement ring from Chris, and then I have his mom's rings too, but I like to mix it up with my stack. So I'm going to pin, I think she said using the loop of the Oasis Link, so I'll pin it there. And then Kim, it looks like what Kim did was you macrameed over all of these guys, right? Over all 4. What I'm going to do, and I just want to do this as a compare and contrast, I'm going to take these 2 ends, 2 of them that I've strung with, and macrame over that center strand. It might be a little thin, and we don't want this to be too tight there. So see how I've come in and I'm tightening this down. I don't want to make it too tight because we don't want it to lose its curve. Okay, so I'm also going to put, what am I going to put underneath here? Maybe a seed bead tube or something to raise it up a little bit. And again, not too tight. Okay. So I'm just going to start with my P side of my loop. My left hand's over here. I make that loop so it's over that top of that center strand. And then I'm going to take my right hand thread and I'm going to go over that tail under the center strands and up through the loop. So there's half of my half hitch right there. Then I'm going to repeat it on the opposite end, make a P loop over the center threads. Take the left hand thread, go over that thread coming across, under the center threads, and up through the loop. I'm not going to take a lot of time to explain the flat macrame loop, the basic macrame stitch, because we have a great skill builder on beadshop.com. Okay, so you're going to go there for that refresher. It's just the macrame basics, and we've done this so many times, but essentially to a pair of those half hitches, 1 and 2, create one full flat square knot. I also want to do a few of these, and then I want to unpin it, and I'm going to actually dangle it down. My mom said she got the sapphire ring off eBay 20 or so years ago. It's a vintage piece. Yeah, I love it, Ma. I love it. So, and it stacks really nicely. It's nice to have a mom who passes her jewelry down, right? And so you can see here, I can see how this lays. I think it looks real good. Okay, so I'm going to continue to do that macrame. So let me pin that in. And I'm going to be really mindful about my loop here, right? So what Kim was saying is that you need to be mindful of where a jump ring is going to sit for these. So what she did, she used a larger ring. I think, Kim, you used maybe a 5 or a 6 millimeter right here. So it's got some room. Since my macrame is a little thinner, I'm going to take a few more stitches, and I'm going to use this one that's a little smaller. This is a 4 millimeter. It's what I have sitting here. I might go, let me see. Do I have any others? Here's, this one's a little bit bigger. Might be a little big for what we're doing, but maybe not. I'll take a couple, right? And then we'll test it. Let me bring the center back in. And so I know that the tension is okay now, so I'm not as concerned about checking this tension right here. So let me put all those to the side right here. I'm going to close. These are jump rings that are open, right? They're jump rings, but you could use a soldered ring as well if you have them. I don't have any sitting here, so I'm using the jump ring, but you can do whatever floats your boat. Lynn is saying it's nice to have a daughter who passes beautiful jewelry up as well. It's true. I do pass a lot of jewelry up to my mom. I always said the mantra is make whatever your mom wants you to make, you make. Mostly, anyway. So I'm going to do this a little more at Kate speed. Oops, except I screwed that up. So let's go here. Come on, under. There we go. I'm going to do 2 more sets, and then I'm going to put the loop on, and then we're going to measure to close this macrame. So Kim says to go about 1.5 to 2 inches. I might want this to be, since I'm not doing, see how much thinner this is coming out, since I'm only doing it over that center there. But you can do either or, right? Whatever look you like for this piece. So I'm going to close both of these up. Let me get my pliers from over here and close them. You could also do this from a more, I don't know, like a fancier ring. Like you could use this fancy pants chain and use the ring from the fancy pants, right? Or use a jump ring, you know, one of the oval rings or something. You know, decide what it is you like, or a piece of chain, or I don't know, whatever. I'm going to close both of these so I can test them. Close it up using my bent and my regular chain nose. And sometimes I touch that opening with my fingers to make sure that it's closed all the way. You can see her loops are kind of big, but I like a jump ring that you can see, right? I sometimes like that. So I think it's total personal preference on what floats your boat, right? So let me put, I'm going to put this size on first. This is that larger one. And I'm going to pop it down over these threads so that the ring is on there. And then I'm going to bring this around And can you see, it's hard for you to see. Let me get all of this in alignment. See how when I bend this over like this, I think this is about right for me, I think. So with this larger loop here. So, because I do want that little bit of a swing or a little bit of a movement here. So I'm going to lay this down and I'm going to bring the macrame up from behind. So I'm going to pin this down and then I'm going to pin this down over here. Okay. So I've got some tension here. The strands that are behind, that are the strands from the core, I'm going to put in the little ridges here of my design, of my macrame board. So everything is nice and tight. And I'm going to come in I'm going to give myself just a little more loop, so I have to adjust it just a hair. There we go. So you can see, I don't know if you can see from that side view. Let me get my pointer. My macrame is coming around, and then it ends right here. And so I've got, I don't know, about 1/8 of an inch or so to macrame in. Let me see if I can get it even tighter. Kind of hard to see. But see that there? That's where it stops. I'm going to bring my threads around from the back and macrame around that core thread that's running behind the earring and the top of this macrame. Okay, so let's see how that looks. And if you want a larger loop, make a larger loop. It's easier to see. And I really like how a lot of macrame, how it really adds to the texture of the piece, especially if you're using a tassel on this side and more fiber on that side. I think it mirrors it really nicely. So let's get this. I'm going to come in with my loop to the left, over. Now I've got to pass it not only under the earring, but under that core that's running through, running behind the earring. So I'm getting all of it. And I'm going to tie my first macrame knot there, checking the side to make sure that it meets where it should. And I think I'm going to do 4 knots. Let me just make sure. I'm going to release the tension just a little bit to make sure that looks right. It doesn't have to be too like overly tight, but it needs to, you know, not have a lot of gapping. So that was 1 half hitch. Let me do the other half hitch on the other side. Bring it up. Try not to get it caught and tighten it down. So there's 1, that's 1 set. Okay. I'm going to do 1 more set before I macrame. So Kim is saying my new way to end is do 1 complete square knot, then cross the C-line inside the loop and knot it. It hides the knot and the glue inside the loop. Oh, right. So you bring these 2 and knot them so it sits inside the loop up here, I think is what you're saying, which would work nicely too, I think. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come in. I'm going to get my baggie. I need a baggie here so I don't glue my board. I'm going to get my toothpick, get a little bit of zap, not a lot. I'd probably use, you know what I should use? I'm not going to use zap. I changed my mind at the last minute. I want to use GS Hypo is what I want to use. The Zap is going to stiffen this too much. So let me put that down. Let me get the GS. That's what I want. Hang on, I got to get the lid off of this. There we go. I'll bring it into the shot in just a second. I'm just getting the extra glue off the tip. You know what I'm talking about if you've used this before. Pull my beads down and add my glue right there. Okay, I'm just going to let it be. Now, if this were maybe not demo time and real jewelry making time, I might have flipped this over and added the glue on the back. But I'm going to macrame over it, so it should be okay. Let me get this underneath everything here and up and tighten it down. And I'm going to release the tension from everything for this one last knot. Here, maybe I shouldn't have released that tension though for that loop. Let me get this out of the way. I think I released the tension a little too quickly. This goes under all of it, under the earring and under that center core thread, up through the loop. You don't want to have this loop though be too tight, or else your earring's going to be too stiff. Okay, so there we have it. There we go. Now, I like that I used this hishi because what I can do here is I'm going to pull all of these threads through those hishi beads, at least the center core threads I am, if I can. I could get a needle, which I think I'm going to have to do. Let me grab maybe a big eye needle or a collapsible eye needle. I've got a whole bunch of needles sitting here, so let me just rifle through them. Just 1 second. And I'll get the appropriate needle. You just need something that has a big eye to it, right? So you could use literally a big eye needle. Sorry about that little crash. Or the collapsible eye. Okay, so here are my center threads. These are my side threads, so I'm not going to worry about those right now. Let me get this on there. And let's see if I can get these through. Pushing my thread up. Yeah, see, there it goes. It's coming out the bottom of that hishi. This goes, whoops, I don't want to wrap my earring. Get it tangled, so get all of these extra threads out of there and just pull this one. Get out of there, buddy. There we go. Put all of those up at the top. There we go. And this one actually comes around here. Try and untangle these before. There we go. Those are all out of the way. And so now when I pull this thread through, see how it just goes through that hishi? I'll unknot this one. And I'm going to put it through that other core thread, which I think is this one. And this just goes through, and you kind of have to find the light in the tunnel here. Maybe if I flip it to this side. I think there's room. The hole in these beads are so large. There it goes. Try not to split any of the threads there with your needle. Okay. And then this tightens and goes down. Okay. So now I'm going to do one final bit of gluing. So let me show you where all of the threads are living for me. These two core threads have come out the sides right here. I could give this another knot, but I don't think I want to. And these side threads are coming up here. So, whoops. Sorry. There we go. Let me get this. I'm going to actually flip it over to the back. Add just a touch. It's a little too much glue on there. I'm going to use a toothpick actually. This hypo cement, it kind of gives a blob like this. So I'm going to take that from the tip just so I've got good glue management. Okay, and just tap it in. Whoops, I got this on my board. There we go. I know I've promised you guys just a show on glue. I will fulfill that promise. There's so much about glue that we could delve into. So let me put that lid back in. So again, if this were real jewelry making time and not Kate doing this on a live broadcast time, I would make sure that all of this GS just stayed overnight, right? I would wait 24 hours for it, okay? But instead, I'm going to go ahead and use the thread burner and thread burn these out, okay? So these bottom ones are not going to go anywhere. So I'm just going to go ahead, because they've been knotted in, they've been glued in. I'm just going to come in, put it through, being really careful and very mindful about where I'm thread burning. Put the thread burner there, turn it on, let it get hot, and let it just break itself away. Same thing here. You don't have to put the thread in the middle of the thread burner. You can also just heat the tip and pull it away. That works. Now again, I would let this sit, right? Sit. So I would not thread burn this if this were not a live show. I thread burned that actually a little too aggressively. I also got a little extra thread on there. So see, I'm doing this in a well-ventilated area. You kind of want to burn. See, there's that extra bit right there. I'm going to actually just kind of burn that away. Let me make it not look like a forest fire though, so it's clean. Okay. And now here, I'm going to come in on this side and thread burn it. There we go. I was a little heavy-handed, but it's not too bad. That's why whenever I make a piece, right, like this, I don't finish, you know, I don't burn the threads away or cut the threads away or whatever. I let it sit and let it simmer so I don't make a misstep. Okay, so now let me add my ear wire. Okay, just there. And I'm going to put this on. I'm going to open this up like this. And open it up a little bit more. And slide this on. Actually, I want it to be that to be the front. See how I'm using the bent chain nose? And close it up. Okay. So there we have it. It actually goes this way. So now let me just go ahead and add the brio. I'm going to grab some wire. You can do 24 or 26. I'm going to do this at Kate speed because we are almost done with broadcast time. So let me lift this up. We have a really good, if I do say so myself, wire wrapping with briolettes. Skill builder that you can reference, but essentially I'll come in, bend at a right angle. I need a round nose plier. Thank you from Tracy and TierraCast. You guys were saying what a stunning design. This is all Kim. I am just interpreting. But I really appreciate Kim for sending these in, for gifting me that pretty pair, and for sharing this really great design with all of you guys. I'm going to come in here and grab it, and then I'll wire wrap it down. Like that. And I'm going to clip away the excess here. Clip. Pull this away just like the thread burner. I don't want to be too zealous. Yeah, like when I string a necklace, I never put the clasp on at the same time, right? I have to let it sit because I get tired, right? After you make one of these pieces, it actually doesn't look too bad. I don't think I was too crazy. There's a little place there that is a little off, but it'll be all right. But you can see, there it is. There's my, this. Let me do a hit parade of Kim's pretty pieces. Where's the two? There we go. You can see all these guys here. They don't look too bad, right? So I'm gonna take this screen out, and I'm going to take that out. There we go. And let me put one of these in. Let me actually do this so you guys can see. It's a little bit easier to see this earring this way. So you can see, it's a little hard to see with this lighting, but it's a nice length. I feel like I am going to the Oscars, right? I love them. And again, you can fix your length however you want to do it. Make it a little shorter in here, make it a little shorter up here, whatever works for you. Okay, good job. I also promised you that I would show you a couple of things from, I'll find it here on my phone, a couple of things from the Calder exhibit. I went to the Calder up at SF MoMA, and there were a couple of pieces that I just loved, and it really relates to some of the things that I share with you guys here when we talk about negative space, and not only the shape of what the piece invokes, right? Like this, not only the shape of the beads, but the space around the beads too, like the interior of this loop, the shape around the Oasis Link, right? So I want to show you this one, and I'll hold it up so you guys can see it. It was Calder Picasso, Okay, and so it's a little hard to see, but I think you guys can see it, is that the wire itself, you know what I'm going to do? Hang on, real quick. Let me airdrop this here to my computer, and I can put it up on the screen. Bear with me here just a second. It'll take me just a moment to put it up because I really want you guys to see this. It's kind of special if I do say so myself. Let me see. Here's this. Let me open it. Let me export it. And I'll put it up on the screen here in 2 shakes. Let me get back here. Let me go here. Let me add it. There it is. Okay. So this is something to think about, you guys, when you're designing. It's loading in. So as soon as it loads in, there we go. Okay. If you can see here on the screen, up at the top there, where's my hand? Up here, that top piece is a woman's face made of wire, okay? Mostly 3-dimensional. Below it, just below here, that's the shadow that it casts, right? So not only are you looking at the wire shape of what we've got going on here, you're also looking at the space around it, right? If that makes sense. And then below it, let me see if I can see what it says. The way that they were all curated was they were curated with a piece of Picasso and then a piece of Calder. I'm also going to airdrop this one so you guys can see it. There we go. But that piece, let's see if I can see what it's called. So the top one, it's called Medusa. And then the bottom one, that's the Picasso, is called Women Before the Sea. So each piece kind of, related to one another. So I want you to really think about your negative space when you're designing. And I think that you do that anyway, kind of, what do I want to say? Maybe subconsciously when you're working, if that makes sense. I didn't have this other one come through. I'm going to try it. Maybe I'll just show you on my phone. Let me get to all my photos. But do a little walking around, and you can be, let me take this one off. You can find inspiration wherever, and this one's a little bit easier to see, but whoops, there are all my photos. But you can see all that big Calder coming up there. It was totally, totally inspiring. So that's a little bit. I'll post some more on my Kate Richford Jewelry Educator page on Facebook so you guys can see it as well. Let me get all these comments here. But it was pretty fun, I think. And so, that inspiration with all that wire and all that, it was good. So thank you again, Kim, though, for sharing this, and thank you, Audrey, for asking about the Calder exhibit. It was a lot of fun, and it did give me some ideas. Wire, as you know, is my spirit animal. Also, one last thing, Tracy was asking, do I take a sketchbook to exhibits? And sometimes I do. I have a little tiny sketchbook that I keep in my purse and that I sketch ideas out and stuff like that. But I take a lot of photos with my phone, and then I export all of these, and I'll put them in like a post or post on my blog or something like that, so I can revisit them. I think that your camera is super powerful. It's your best friend, but it's also good to sketch things out too. I was really good. And Cindy said this is a good kind of way to wrap it up. She says she calls that her personal feng shui when she's looking at negative space, which I think is great. So thank you again, you guys, for joining us as always on this broadcast. You can find us on all of our social. You can follow us at beadshop.com, on Instagram, on Facebook. You can join our group, The Bead Table. And of course, you can like and subscribe us on the YouTube channel. We would love it if you're watching YouTube at this very moment to hit that subscribe button so you'll always be notified when we go live. I am taking out, what you heard is not me rustling the potato chip bag, but you saw me rustling these little bracelets out of the bag. Next week, we have another great design from Kim. She sent this one in, and we're using some more TierraCast components. We're going to use some half tilas, some quarter tilas, and we're going to be using some TierraCast buttons for closures, as well as the TierraCast crescent crimp there, right? So we're going to do some peyote stitch with these, and I think you're going to love them. You can see kind of that open work design that's there. So another week of Kim starts next week, and I think you guys will really love these. So thanks again for watching. Of course, you can find all of the, where's my screen? All of the information on the project and the products from today's broadcast on our website. Sign up for the newsletter for the latest discounts, giveaways, and new products. You can find everything right online at beadshop.com. As always, we really, really appreciate your support of our small business, because without you guys out there in the audience liking and sharing and making purchases and all of that stuff, we would not be here without you. Another big thank you. Yes, Linda's saying it. We'll all say it. A big shout out again to Karen. All the best to her in her new endeavors. Very, very much so. We're still taking a hiatus from our Free Tip Fridays, but Janice and I will be on the first Friday of the month with Bead Doctor. So you'll see us the first Friday of June there. So we're trying to play some catch up and get things straightened out here at the office. So that's what I've got. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I'll see you next Wednesday with this fabulous peyote stitch bracelet technique from Kim. Thank you so much for sharing it, Kim, and I'll see all y'all next week. Thanks so much, everybody.